To Kill a Mockingbird, video 21. Okay, so some questions about the last video, okay? First question. What did closed doors mean in Maycomb? Answer. It meant either disease, illness, I think the text says, or cold weather. Question. Why, let's put it this way, why was Sunday a special day in Maycomb? Answer. Because neighbors would visit each other, you know. And question. What kind of clothing would they wear to visit each other? Answer. Well, the women would wear corset, right? Men would wear coats and children would wear shoes. Meaning, of course, they don't usually wear shoes. Question. What? Let me see. What thing other houses usually had in Maycomb, but the Radleys didn't? Answer. A screen door. Let me see what else. Question. What was the problem with the younger Radley according to people of Maycomb? Answer. Well, he got together with the wrong crowd, right? Question. What kind of wrong things did they do? Answer. They drank illegal whiskey, right? Stump hole whiskey. They would go to not such a nice places, right? What else? They hung around barber shops and things like that. Question. Why didn't Mr. Radley know about what his boy was doing? Answer. Because nobody had the nerve to tell him. Okay, very nice. So let's go on. One night, in an excessive spurt of high spirit, the boys backed around the square in a borrowed flivver, resisted arrest by Maycomb's ancient beadle, Mr. Connor, and locked him in the courthouse outhouse. The town decided something had to be done. Mr. Connor said he knew who each and every one of them was, and he was bound and determined they wouldn't get away with it. So the boys came before the probate judge on charges of disorderly conduct, disturbing the peace, assault, and battery, and using abusive and profane language in the presence and hearing of a female. Well, let's go by part. I'll give you the words. We'll go back to the chapter, right? First, spurt is like an outburst, all right? When you shoot something quickly. In our list, I put, I saw the flames spurting from the roof. Okay, so just like that, not just the flames, calmly burning, right? So there was a spurt of flame. The picture I put there is the picture of water spurting from the ground, so very dramatic, very intense, right? One more. I like this one. Imagine you were watching one of Quentin Tarantino's movies. Mainly, I don't know, Kill Bill, for example. And then you have this blood spurted from the wound, right? So there is a scene Jesus Christ, I forgot the name of that character, but that Japanese girl, I think she's half Japanese, and well, that's not important. She's in a meeting with the, you know, the mob bosses, and she's their boss, and somebody says something, she goes there, cuts his head, and then blood just spurts from his neck. Apparently it happens. Well, but that's not the point. Okay, keeping that in mind, what would you think would be a spurt of energy? So, I think you got the point, right? High spirits, I didn't put in our Quizlet list. Maybe I should, I don't know. But you know, when you are high, you are in high spirits, you are very happy, right? So a spurt of high spirits, you are so happy. It happens very frequently with children and teenagers that you do wrong stuff, right? Okay. Next word is a very specific word that is a flivver, right? What is a flivver? Keep in mind that I have a nice observation to make. Keep in mind that flivver has double V. You know, it's quite strange that a word has double V, you know? But keep in mind that the tendency, if you had just one V, the tendency would be to pronounce it as flivver instead of flivver, okay? Why? Because of, I will take notes to post magic E. I'll take notes and then I'll post in the description here a video about magic E. If you don't know yet, I hardly recommend that you watch this video so you get to know this idea of this E will make you pronounce the vowel differently before. So double V, you will pronounce flivver. Just one V, you will pronounce flivver, right? That's why hotter, for example, has double T. Otherwise, you would pronounce it as holder, okay? Or a cutter, you know, has double T because it cuts. If it had one T, then it would be a cuter, okay? And then it would be just an adjective, a cuter, you know, she's cuter than her sister, okay? So take a look at that if you have a problem. But what is a flivver? A flivver is a small and cheap automobile. If I'm not wrong, originally it was applied to Ford T model. I think that's it. Yes, Ford Model T, you know, which is one of those very, very old cars. According to my brain that is here in the computer, it was produced from 1908 until 1927, you know, Ford Model T. I put two pictures there in our Quizlet. The first one, just the definition for flivver, and the broad meaning for flivver, that is any small cheap automobile, right? And then I put a picture of any small cheap automobile. There is another card that I put just for the phonetical transcript, and then you have, I believe it's a Ford Model T, okay? But it's very old, so it's kind of difficult to recognize. Right, so that's a flivver. Continuing, keep in mind that the beadle, all right? The beadle is a minor official. So it's like a police officer, but he doesn't have so much power, all right? He just helps the police. I don't know if you knew that, but we had something similar in the past here in Brazil. Like you have isolated city and you don't have, you know, I don't know, money to bring police officers or sheriff or whatever, and then you have those guys who take care. They're people from the community but help take care. I believe my father told me once that his father was, the term was inspetor de quarteirão, maybe, you know, but there was something. So my father's father, my grandfather, he was not an official police officer, but he's supposed to help keep peace there, right? So it's something like that when you're talking about a beadle. And then we have the outhouse. Keep in mind that even today in certain places like farmhouses, I think, of course, things it's more rare. If you need to go to the bathroom, you can't in the house, right? So there is an outhouse, right? Where basically you just have a hole in the ground, a huge hole. I remember when I was a kid, my father used to have a farm, and in the beginning they had this thing, and for me, I was like really small. I was like 8, 9 years old. It was horrible. I would prefer to try to go into the woods, you know, to pee there than to enter in that place, right? But well, that's not the point. So an outhouse is like a bathroom outside, and of course there is no plumbing or anything, you know, there's just a very small place and a hole there, and it's creepy. At least the one I remember from my childhood was very creepy. And of course the smell, you can't imagine. Well, that's not the point. The point is, the next word is probate court, okay? What is a probate court? A probate court is a state court of limited jurisdiction that conducts proceedings relating to the settlement of a deceased person's estate. Basically, I died, you know, and they need to know what to do with my estate, with my property, right? If I wrote a will, if it should be distributed among my kids or anything like that. And the probate court is going to decide on that. The deal here, because if you think about it, so the boys came before the probate judge, and then you think like, but probate judge, why? And I want you to try to answer this question. Why? Why probate judge? Answer. At first I thought it was like, I don't know, it's another way. There they call probate judge like a judge that has a limited power, but I don't think so. I think that place is so small that you don't need a judge, you know, just like the idea of the police officer, right? But of course, you need a judge for the affairs there. So people die all the time we have to solve questions like that, you know? So even though the judge didn't deal with criminal things, because they didn't have crimes, you know, in Maycomb, they had, the judge had to deal with that thing, right? Next, battery, okay? Take a look, this is a legal term. I'm going to read the definition for it. Unlawful beating or wounding of a person or mere touching in a hostile or offensive manner. Okay, so that's battery. Then we have another term in law that is assault and battery. Okay, so assault and battery includes a threat or an attempt to injury, and assault includes a threat and attempt to injury, and battery includes the unlawful touching of another person without consent, okay? So assault, of course, is more serious. Keep in mind, guys, you Brazilian, right? Assault is not rob. I was assaulted on the street, so it means they beat me up, okay? They just didn't point a gun to me and say, give me your wallet, okay? Assault is more serious than that. Well, once we have all of those words, let's read again the paragraph, but I think I'm going to start a new video.